I'm Amy Peckham. I work at NIP Fitness, and God, it's been such a crazy story. I don't even know when to start. I think
It's been a very
probably
crazy
like
story.
When did the puking start? Like 4 years ago?
Yeah, you would, when you first started working, you would just be walking around and puke. And I was like, holy shit, what is going on here?
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
just projectile puke. You know?
There's just my special puking can, and I'd be like, go make a smoothie, go puke. And it wasn't like flu, it was just like I couldn't eat anything. And so I would try cutting out. I cut out gluten, I cut out dairy, I cut out all this stuff. My diet was perfect, and I was still just puking all the time. So that's when I started going to the doctor, and I went to stomach specialists, I went to endocrinologists, I went and had colonoscopies, I had scopes. The endocrinologist sat there, and I have thyroid issues. That's kind of where it all started way back when. The endocrinologist looked at me and like, man, those are the worst thyroid numbers I've ever seen. Why don't we put you on an antidepressant? Okay, thanks.
That makes sense.
Let's not.
After you waited 3 months for that appointment.
Yeah, I waited 3 months for that appointment. She just looks at me and I said, okay, I won't be going back there. So then I started going to this digestive disease place in Des Moines and getting the colonoscopies and the scopes. And they wanted to, God, you're really, really sick. Let's try this drug trial. Like, I don't want any more drugs. And so we started deep diving in the, we're biohackers. So we started really looking into,
You were doing everything
holistic.
right. That's what was crazy. I mean, we were doing red light therapy, cold therapy, PEMF. I mean, every one of these biohacks to try to bring her body back. And it's worked on so many other people. Doing these things are very good for you. But her, she just kept getting sicker.
Yeah.
And
Supplements, my diet was perfect. Everything, and we just couldn't, and it, like you said, I'd have like 2 good days and then I'd go down the drain again. And it just, the last 2 years have just gotten worse and worse and worse. And, there'd be mornings where I'd have to get up 3 hours before it was time to go to work, lay on the floor for about 2 hours, stretch, because my body was so full of fluid that I couldn't move. I would do some like Tai Chi. I would do red light therapy. I did a coffee enema every day. I did a cold plunge every day. I did a sauna every day. And that was at like 3 o'clock in the morning, just getting ready for work. And I managed to make it to work every day and put a smile on and fake it. But I would come home and just crash. I had no energy. Like a really good day was when I could actually make my kids like a frozen pizza for supper. That was like, oh man, I actually feel like I'm a functioning adult today.
well, it made you feel like not a mom.
Yeah.
I mean, it was
Yeah.
it was
I was
very
struggling.
hard depression. The depression set in when she couldn't do the basics for her kids.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
do laundry to cook them supper, and a lot of people take that for granted.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's and that's what I seen weigh on her a lot. Was I just want to cook my kids supper again? I just want to do these simple tasks that we all take for granted, and she couldn't even do those.
Right.
And that
And,
was-
and to be going that far, doing, everything under the
Yep.
book, and nothing's working.
Yeah. And no doctors
I can
would help.
only
Yeah. No doctors would. And I kept going to the doctor and they kept saying, man, your labs are the worst. I had 4 or 5 doctors tell me that my labs were the worst they'd ever seen. And then here's a water pill. It's like nobody was looking at the root cause. And that's what we tried finding. So then we're like, okay, there's mold in my house. So I had my house treated for mold.
And you were full of mold.
I was full of mold, and that was, and then I got a little bit better, so like that's it. But then it would come back, and I'm like, okay, so what is it now? And what else? I mean, Candida, we did.
Yes. Candida.
And every
mold
lab,
so
I
many
had
times.
so many outside lab tests. I spent thousands of dollars getting these lab tests done and getting hormonal tests done, and it was just like we just couldn't figure out what it was.
Yeah, and it got to the point where I just told her, I go, you know what, it's done. You're going to the emergency room. Yeah. And because I didn't know what to do, and I literally thought she was going to die. I thought they were going to go in there, and it was going to be, we're going to do a scan. You got great big tumors in you, and you got about a week to live. I mean, that's where we thought she was at.
Yeah.
And so the first emergency room we went in, they did a full scan of her body. Come back, and we were just expecting the worst. And she said, you have no tumors, no cancer, but you have a big mass in your stomach. And so basically what you need to do is you just need to go to the bathroom, and here's a water pill. And that was the first emergency room. And at that point, I guess something good about that was I always try to take the positives out of everything. Like I told her, I go, well, you're not full of cancer. You don't have a tumor. So let's take the positives and let's figure out what this is. And what was it, about 2 weeks before that, we had flew down to Arizona to move our hemp company down there. And so one of our buddies that we're in business with down there, Cole Stegman, he goes, well, I think it could possibly something to do with parasites. And so we went on some parasite cleanse, and a pretty strong one at that time. And so she went on 7 days. That mass in her stomach was actually a ball of dead parasites. And so that's kind of when we knew, like, holy shit.
Yeah.
These are parasites. And that's where we started. That's where we started to see what was really happening. And then at that point,
And that was how far after like the puking and like you started noticing like you were just not?
It's probably a couple of years. The puking was like 2021. I think the puking started, and so it's just been doctors and trying to treat myself and all this stuff for about 3 years, and then
3 years.
3 years of just hell and doing that's just it. The thing that blew my mind is I was doing everything right. I mean, a normal, like I said, if a normal human being got up and did what I did every day just to like stay alive, they'd be Superwoman, and I'm just barely like trudging through life. And so it was awful. And so Cole he's very knowledgeable on a lot of stuff. You see stuff on TikTok about parasites, and I thought, well, maybe it was, but that can't be, you don't want to think you're full of worms, and it's just another trend. But I'm like, you know what do we have to lose? We tried everything else. So we did that big ivermectin kill, and killed a lot of them.
we killed a lot of them, and we'll get into that later. But there's a lot of protocols when you're killing parasites. I've learned a lot from these. When she was sick before that, she bought the Papa program. Yeah. Because very lost, and so we started researching Dr. Papa's his products, and I started researching them, and so I thought, I'm going to call this company directly, and so we got hooked up with Dr. Jack Tips. He's the wellness whiz out of Austin, Texas, and so he's been working with parasites since the 60s. Cool. And so, he sent me tons of information, tons of documentations on parasites, how they work in your body, how in Iowa we are really infested with them up here, and not very many people are addressing that. They are, with all the agriculture, the animals that we're around, they're prevalent all over, but here there's a lot of them, and they're in pretty much every single human, is what we found. And some people, I'll bring it up, they're like, well, I feel okay. Well, that's because your immune system right now is good, and it's fighting them off, and you're not becoming a better host for them. As we get sicker, right, and they start to take over, we become a much better host for them. And that's when we start to see all these things happen, from autoimmunes. I mean, if you research it, it's mind-blowingly crazy what parasites will lead to. About 99% of disease.
So basically everybody that's listening to this right now has parasites.
Oh yeah.
Absolutely. 100%. And there are good parasites, but there are bad parasites. And the majority of people are full of parasites. And like I said, the things I've seen that have come out of us, even me, because I did all these kills and cleanses too, is very disturbing, very eye-opening. And it's, like I said, I wouldn't believe myself if I haven't seen this the last 3 to 4 months of what we went through with her and her parasites, these worms, from flukes to worms to these rope worms, which I'll explain later, and all these different things. And parasites are extremely sneaky, they do weird things. And if you don't do a parasite kill and cleanse right, basically you're gonna piss them off, and then they're gonna multiply. And so there's a lot of different protocols with doing. That's what I've been working with that Dr. Jack Wells down in Jack Tips, down in Texas, coming with a protocol to where we protect your body while we're doing these kills and cleanses. And doing it. And, he says once you get it, everyone goes, well, do I got to do this all the time? Because, parasites are in the air. They're in your food. They're in your animals. Yeah. They are all over the place. So you're never going to completely get away from these things. We just want to stay ahead of them, keep our immune system up. And like I said, just don't become that great host for them, because they're all over. I mean,
Well, one of the things too is they love prescription medication. So as you get sicker, you usually go to the doctor to get prescriptions. Well, if you have parasites, you're just feeding them. They love it. They love sugar. They love iron, and they love
They were basically eating off her thyroid medication, and so that's why her thyroid numbers were the worst that they've ever seen. And so her basically thyroid shut down. And so what that affects is a lot of different things, health-wise. For example, her menstrual cycle went crazy. I mean, she was wearing a diaper to work. You know what I'm saying? I mean, clots. I mean, it's just out there, but
everybody knows it.
Everybody knows.
Well, then, so then you're extremely low on iron. And then, so when you're extremely low on iron, is very dangerous as well. And so we were feeding her iron after iron pills, all these different things for iron. Well, tapeworms feed on iron.
Yeah.
Oh, so she wasn't getting no iron. And so we had to do some iron infusions at the cancer center to actually make her feel a little bit alive. After you took those, I
felt better.
Totally different. And so we knew that she was deficient on that, but what we didn't realize is that nothing was absorbing into her without doing IVs. And that's because the parasites were feeding on it. They were just loving it. Sugar, if you have sugar cravings, is a big one. There's so many different signs that you have parasites, but that's a big one too. So like I said, they're just eating everything.
That's crazy, because I know a lot of people with sugar cravings.
Oh yeah,
so.
it's a big,
right here.
Yeah.
I mean,
I'm bad with the sugar.
You're infested.
Real bad. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like it's after every meal, I just want sugar.
You want sugar?
Yeah.
It's
Real
addictive
bad.
anyway, but you know, I
Right.
say if you, I recommend to everybody, if you're listening to this, take it, do your research, and take control of it because they're there. I promise you, you have them, like I said, a lot of people don't know it because their immune system is doing good right now, but eventually, they just keep growing and multiplying and we're ingesting them all the time.